Ladies and gentlemen, babies and elephant, welcome to another new video. My name is Bosley, and today I want to share with you guys this build, Dual Strike Slayer. So in the last league, I actually made a build like this, Dual Strike Berserker, but this time I want to try it on a different Ascendancy. So I tried it on a Slayer instead because there's a few reasons. One, I haven't played a Slayer before, I haven't played a Duelist before in general anyway. And besides that, Slayer has really good Ascendancy skills that Berserker doesn't give. So the difference between using a Berserker and a Slayer is Berserker has really fast speed and really huge damage, but comparing to Slayer, Slayer is more of a safer side, but it's much more reliable as well in terms of taking care of the endgame content. Just because of delirium monsters can be really nasty sometimes. Okay, so if you're looking for a build who are going for endgame content, you're looking to clear out bosses, you're looking at decent clear speed, you're looking at enjoyable, you like melee characters, you like jumping around slashing shit, this is the exact build for you. So I'm just going to jump into the build right now. So the first thing I want to go through first is I'm going to choose explain about the Ascendancy. So let's look at the Ascendancy now. So the Slayer Ascendancy that I took, for me personally, the first Ascendancy points that you want to pick off is you can either pick off Endless Hunger first, or you can either pick off Overwhelm first. So I would suggest pick up Endless Hunger first. Reason why? Because number one, it gives you Leech, because at the early game, the early stage, as you're leveling the character, you want to have as much leech as you can, so that you can survive a lot better, and you can't be stunned while you're leeching, and you're unaffected by bleeding while you're leeching, which is really cool. So that means when you're leeching, you are unaffected by all the bleeding effects or all the curses, you know. And then after that, you want to move this way and pick up Overwhelm if you want. So Overwhelm is really powerful in the sense that it actually makes your base crit chance to 7.5. So that's a huge bump up for your crit chance, which allows you to crit a lot more often. Because there's two strike builds out there, right? In terms of dual strike, so there's one dual strike and one double strike. So what's the difference? So double strike is based mostly on bleeding. Dual strike is based mostly on crit. Both of them deliver the same effect. As you can see here, attacks with this weapon dealing the damage with both hands in one strike. So basically, this one works mostly with crits. Double strike works mostly with bleeding. That's the only difference. So if you like a bleeding type of build, then you should go for what do you call the double strike. If you like crit, go for dual strike. Okay, so I personally like crit more because I like to hit them really hard, but some people they like to play bleeding and stuff. It's up to you. Okay, so it makes your base crit 7.5%, which is really cool. Complements with the dual strike as well. 10% crit multi per nearby enemy up to 100%. That's a really huge damage boost. And the nearby enemies have minus 30% crit multi as well. So basically, the enemies nearby deal a lot more less crit damage to you as well. And the next one you want to pick up is Headsman. So Headsman gives you 10% more damage if you killed recently. So that means if you kill monsters really as you're clearing maps and whatnot. Recently refers to the past 4 seconds. So you gain 10% more damage. So the more you kill them, so when you kill one, and then the next one will take 10% more damage, and 20% more damage against unique enemies, which is the bosses. This is what we are really aiming for. So that gives us a huge damage boost as well. And then lastly, you want to pick up Bane of Legends. So Bane of Legends kills enemies that have 20% or lower life when hit by your skills. That means, if you know Culling Strike is basically instant kill when the enemy has below 10% health. So this is like an enhanced version of the Culling Strike. It's 20%. So this one may not be that fascinating if you're going against normal creeps, but if you go against some bosses like Cyrus, Shaper, as you look at the showcase earlier, the Shaper, the Elder, you know, all kind of bosses like that, 20% is huge because the huge life pool that they have. That 20% is an instant kill, which is a huge bump. And gain 10% attack speed for 20% when you kill a rare or unique enemy, and gain 10% move speed as well, so when you kill an enemy as well. So basically, when you kill enemies, you gain more damage, more attack speed, you know, yada yada yada. So that's the Ascendancy. Now we're gonna go through the gear choices now. So I personally use Paradoxica and the Saviour. So Paradoxica will be on the main hand, And this one, the reason why I use Paradoxica over a dual foil, just because most of my accessories are based on Flat Phys, which is getting double of the effect as well. According to my research, I was trying to actually find more information about why people should choose for Paradoxica over dual foil, and this is what I researched about and what I understood. So basically, what Flat Phys this one gives doesn't really matter. It doubles whatever it is. But the most important thing is all the other accessories or weapons or equipments that you have that gives Flat Phys will be double as well, because that will be produced from your main hand, which is the Paradoxica. So that means you're doing double of those Flat Phys as well. So let's say the accessories like the rings or the amulet, I have like Flat Phys on it, will be double the effect as well, because I'm using a Paradoxica and the damage will be boosted into it. It synchronizes vice versa. Okay, so Paradoxica, you want to pick up something that gives you increased Phys, attack speed, and also chance to impale. You want to make sure that you have 100% impale. Reason for going for impale rather than going for elemental, because impale is such a huge chunk of damage against bosses, especially because as you hit, just in case you don't know about impale, so basically impale, the more hits you hit, the more damage multiplier it goes up. Okay, so the more hits you get, it goes up to the standard, it goes up to 5 hits. So it's like the first hit will be 10%, the second hit will be additional 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. So that's why there are cluster jewels out there that gives you additional hit, meaning, let's say the standard is 5 hits, you go up to the 6th hit, is 60% increased damage. You go up to another hit, it will be 70% increased damage. The 8 will be 80%, so it stacks. That's how insane Impale can be. That's the reason why we want to take advantage of the Impale with the Dual Strike. As we strike more, the Impale will go harder and harder and harder. So that's the whole idea of the build. Okay, so Paradoxica will be the main one. The most important thing is the Saviour. Now the Saviour is the only reason why I'm playing the Dual Strike again, because it's just insane, right? The Saviour creates illusions of yourself whenever you crit. Okay, so if you don't have the Saviour for this build, I wouldn't say it's unplayable, but it's definitely very, very, very different. Okay, if you're playing like dual foils without the Saviour, you can still put out a decent amount of damage, but you don't see the huge jump of damage because the illusions does a lot of the job for you. Okay, so just in case you guys there don't know what the Saviour does, so the Saviour, whenever you crit, it will create an illusion of you dealing 50% of your damage, but you can summon up to 2 illusions. So it kind of like doubles your damage, kind of. But you know, of course, with scaling and all that and whatnot, it'll be less than double the damage. But still, it works something like that. So you can summon up to 2 illusions that deals 50% of your damage of your 6 link. So let's say I have a 6 link here, or whatever the link is, they'll be doing the same amount of damage based on the 6 link skill as well, which is insane. So I would say the Saviour is like the bread and butter of the whole build right here. Okay, and can just get a decent helmet with a helmet enchant. I will go for dual strike attack speed rather than dual strike damage, because we are getting a huge chunk of damage for impales anyway. So we want to hit our impales as fast as you can. So attack speed will be really the most ideal outcome that you want to get. So I went for dual strike attack speed, and also the enchant with nearby enemies gain take 9% more increased physical damage. So this one, in order to get this, you can just get any rare helmet with the helmet enchant, which is really cheap. I think like 10 or 20 C. And then after that, you can just craft it yourself. How to craft the nearby enemy take 9% increased damage is just using the jagged foil. I'm just going to show you. So in your fossils, you have the jagged fossil, and you can just use any resonator and just craft on it until you get 9% increased physical damage. It's pretty easy, and on top of that, hopefully you can get life and whatnot. So I got life. Intelligence is something that we need as well for the build, and nearby enemies take 9% more damage, basically. So that's the helmet, Saviour, and the armor, of course, Feral's Fur, because of the constant uptime of the frenzy charges, because we are going a lot of frenzy charges and power charges. We're going for 7 frenzy charge and 3 power charge. It will constantly be up for us, so we have a lot of crit, a lot of attack speed, a lot of move speed, a lot of attack damage. So Feral's Fur will be a very ideal as well. You can go Feral's Fur with 5 Link as well. I think it goes for about, what, 6 Exalt? Something like that. It's pretty cool. This is built for end game. It's definitely not budget friendly, but it's definitely for the end game content. Okay, so the amulet is the one I crafted myself. This one gives me 6% damage per frenzy charge. I got 7, so it gives me 42% damage increase for the frenzy charges. Flat Phys as well, crit multi, and D&D here. Crit multi, and also some lightning resist and mana. And the rings. We want to go for, this is where you want to cap your res, right? And try to get as much as flat phase and life as you can. So life, flat phase, and res. That's the basic 3 things that you want to get from all your rare gears, okay? So life, cold res, some flat phase, and you might really want to craft non-channeling skill have mana cost reduction so that your dual strike doesn't take up too much of your mana when you spam them. And the other ring, of course, you want to pick up Assassin Mark on hit so that you know, they take more damage from crit strikes, and some flat phase, some res, and also, of course, because of the Feral's Fur, you need to craft Aspect of the Cat skill, which allows your Aspect of the Cat to have 0 mana cost. Okay. I pick up this Hands of the High Templar because over picking up Tomb Fist. Because because I had this a while ago. This one gives me +1 frenzy charge, and attacks have increased crit chance. Gives me a decent amount of life and 29% lightning and fire res. I think this is really decent for me because it gives me the fire res, a lot more life, and I need the frenzy charges and also some crit chance. So this is really cool. I think you can pick this glove up from the market for about 1 or 2 Exalt. It's not expensive at all. So this one. For the belt, mainly you want to go for life, increased percentage of life, and some res to cap your res. The boots, you want to get a boot enchant that gives you attack speed if you killed recently, which is really huge. Some intelligence as well, some res. Most importantly, if you can, get Tailwind. I got Tailwind and Elusive as well for my crit strike, so I get a lot of sorry, a lot of attack speed and move speed. And Elusive, so what Elusive does is, Elusive is a buff that grants you 15% chance to dodge spell and attack hits, and 30% increased move speed. So the boots here only give you 10%, but when you get Elusive and Tailwind, you get a lot of move speed as well. As you can see from the showcase earlier, I have a decent amount of move speed as I start killing, so it's fine. Don't have to worry about it, and some res as well. So that's the key choices as well. Alternatives, I was using this dual foil I crafted myself. So if you're using a dual foil, what you want to look out for is try to get tier 1 or tier 2 flat phys. That's really important. Increase physical damage and some attack speed and quality. That should be decent enough. I would say if you want decent amount of damage, you need to have at least about 350 to 400%, 400 PDPS, physical DPS. That's what you want to look out for. So a 400 physical PDPS dual foil in the market right now costs about, I think, 4 to 5 Exalts. Yeah, something like that. Skiva, you can use this one. This is a really cheap sword that can scale a lot of damage as well. It's one of the best one-handed unique swords out there. And for the helmet, if you don't want to use a rare helmet, you want to go for unique as well. You can go for Stakonia's head because of the life and attack speed you can get from it. Okay. So the Flask. Life Flask, instant recovery and immunity to bleeding. Some Diamond Flask for crit and some move speed. Lion's Roar plays a very big role because of the huge chunk of damage that you're going to get from this one. And Quicksilver Flask for faster movement speed, immunity to freeze and chill. And lastly, you're going to get Swing the Swallow's Urn to gain a lot of huge chunk of life when you kill enemies as well. And of course, for the unveil for the Cinder Swallow's Urn, this one is quite subjective. Okay, so the reason why I didn't go for the crit one is because the crit one, I have pretty much almost 100% crit already, so I don't need more crit chance on this one. I rather have the damage taken will be Leech's life, which helps me survive a bit better than having the crit chance. So it's totally up to you which one you want to get. Okay. And now I've gone through the gears. I want to go through the Pantheon. So the Pantheon, usually I just use either two, either Lunaris or Solaris. So Lunaris when I'm going for mapping, and Solaris when I'm going up against bosses like Shaper, Cyrus, etc. Okay. And for the minor gods, you can go for, usually I go for bossing. I'll pick this one because it gives me charges for my life flask. But if you go for normal mapping, you can pick this one. Shakari gives you immunity to poison, which helps a lot because you don't take that much chaos damage anywhere. So that's the Pantheons. For the Bandits, you want to pick Alira because Alira gives you mana regen, it gives you elemental resist, and also it gives you crit multi, which is really cool for this build as well. So definitely go for Alira for the Bandits. And lastly, you want to go through the skill tree. So skill tree, we start off with Slayer over here. And then you want to go down here and pick up Art of the Gladiator first, because this one gives you dexterity and some attack speed and some ignores all the movement penalties from the armor. And then you want to move this way for bravery, gives you 1 life. And then Master of the Arena for some regeneration and Phys damage and strength. And then after that, you can move down here first if you want. You can move down and pick up Dervish because this one gives you attack speed and damage. And then after that, you can move down here and pick up Golem's Blood if you want. Frenzy Charges, you can pick it up later because you're not going to be using Pharaoh's for anytime soon anyway if you're starting out the new character. But if you're starting out an existing character that you already have, then pick this one up. And then after that, you can move on the left and then you can come down here and pick up Dismembering that gives you more crit multi, and then pick up Bloodlust because enemy can't leech life from you and gives you some life. And then after that, you can move upwards to pick up more life if you need them, but otherwise you can move on the right and continue from the Golem's Blood and move to... So the reason why I pick up Iron Reflexes because I personally tried a lot of evasion builds and I don't really like them because they are quite unreliable. So I definitely go for Iron Reflexes. It converts all my evasion rating to my armor, so it gives me a lot more armor. So now I have about 4,700 armor. If with my Flask up, I get about 9,000 armor as well, which is very good for helping me out with the survivability. Okay, and then after that, you want to move down here and pick up MB Dexterity. So this one gives you attack damage on your main hand, attack speed on your offhand. So your offhand, basically your Saviour will get a lot more attack speed. It will cast out the illusions much more, and your main hand will cause a lot more damage because of your Paradoxica. Okay. And then after that, you want to move upwards, and then you want to pick up Herbalism to give you more life, and then pick up Fatal Blade because it's a huge damage boost. And then after that, you can pick up Heartseeker as well to give you some crit multi as well. And then move up here, pick up Blood Drinker for some life leech. And then after that, Coordination for attack speed and some Dexterity and Intelligence, which is what we need. Blood Siphon for more life, and then after that, Trickery for crit chance. And then lastly, Assassination for crit multi as well. So as you can see, the nodes that I pick up from the skill tree is mostly either crit, life, or attack speed and damage. That's basically about it. Alright? So the cluster jewels is very simple. You can pick up any the cluster jewels, whether it's giving you attack damage with dual wielding, or you can pick up the one which gives you attack damage with swords. Both of them can actually craft deep cuts. So deep cuts basically allows you to inflict last one additional hit. So you can have 2 of them. So last 2 additional hits. Remember where I was telling you about the additional hits for the Impale? So this is where you get additional 2 more hits. So instead of 5 hits, I get 7 hits. If I get the Watcher's Eyes, I get 2 more hits, I get 9 hits, which is insane. So you want to get deep cuts over here, the rest doesn't really matter. And then on the left one, you want to pick this up on the nodes here and pick up the cluster jewel. So this one is a dual wielding as well. So this one gives me deep cuts. And I picked up Quick and Deadly as well because this is really cool. Same thing, main hand damage 60%, 30% of all have attack speed. So I have a huge chunk of attack speed on my Saviour, a huge chunk of damage that gets doubled with my main hand. So Quick and Deadly will be really cool with the deep cuts as well. And then some small clusters. I didn't use any medium cluster, I'm just using small clusters to get more life. So you're going to get Fatal, that gives you a lot of flat life and a lot of life. Okay, and lastly, the anointment for the amulet, I picked up Tribal Fury. So what Tribal Fury does is, Tribal Fury, all your strike skills will strike 1 additional nearby enemy, which is huge for map clearing for your character. As you can see, This build is a single target skill, but the clear speed is actually pretty decent just because of Tribal Fury. It helps out a lot. And one of the unique jewels that you need to pick up is really cheap. Is this one, the Might of the Influence. I picked this up with the Corruption for Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted. I picked this jewel up for less than 10 chaos. It's really cheap. And the reason why you want to pick this up, because first off, Dual Strike has 20% chance to deal double damage. That's number one. Number two, 40% dexterity, Dual Strike will deal offhand splash damage. So your offhand will be splashed as well. So it helps a lot with your clearing. So this is the unique jewel that you want to pick up. And that's pretty much it for the skill tree. So the conclusion is, so far since the last league and this league, I really find that this Dual Strike single target is really reliable in terms of endgame content for me personally. I find that the damage output is huge. The survivability is good, especially when with the Slayer you can leech life and stuff. I really enjoy this build very much because I don't have to worry so much about dying that much and delivering this amount of DPS against the boss as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for taking your time watching this video. If you have any questions about the build or any suggestions, it's a huge thunderstorm out there. I really apologize for the bad video quality. So if you guys have any suggestions or advice that you can give me for this build, please drop a comment below and like and subscribe my channel if you like videos like this. I do a lot of build guides for a lot of builds almost every week, and I stream every day, stream on Twitch every day 9 p.m. GMT +8 Asian time. My Twitch link is down below as well. And woo, I hope you guys didn't hear that because the thunderstorm outside is huge. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Even though it's a very hectic world out there that's going on with the coronavirus, since we are staying home, I hope you guys stay safe, stay home, and hope this thing goes away really soon. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.